Young Adult Podcast.
Welcome to podcast 157.
157.
My name is Pastor Lucas. I'm the executive pastor here at Cornerstone Church. Also work heavily with the young adults, creative team, so on and so forth.
I'm Pastor Aaron. I'm the youth pastor and volunteer with the or help out with the young adults and whatever else I get asked to do.
Yeah.
Head up the transportation ministry here too. So driving buses all the time. It's great.
Fantastic. Let's see here, Pastor Aaron. It's a sleepy week for us.
It's a sleepy week.
We
that's
just
for sure.
finished our revival services. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to kind of take it a little slow.
Yeah.
A little slow.
Yeah. I feel a little sleepy this week.
Yep.
I got to give a shout out to a company I have zero affiliation with. Wish I was affiliated with them. That's how great they were to me this weekend.
I'm curious about what you're going to say.
So this past weekend, I'm going to fill our audience in for a second. This past weekend, I did my mother-in-law's wedding down in Tennessee, in Gatlinburg. So
It's a nice area.
It's a beautiful area, but it's an 8-hour, 40-minute drive. And I left my house at about 3:10 in the morning on Saturday.
Woo.
And I got down there at just before 12:30.
Man, you were on the road for hours before that sun came up.
Oh, yeah. But the whole drive down there, I took 2 stops. One of them was at a rest area, and it was at about 5 a.m. because I was really tired.
Oh.
And so I got out, and I ran a lap around the car.
Oh, that's how tired you were, huh?
I did some push-ups in the parking lot.
That's desperation mode right there.
It was desperation mode.
Yeah, I bet you were depressed.
I was losing it.
Yeah,
Okay. I had already pounded a double shot Black Rifle coffee drink.
Did it do nothing for you?
I was
Didn't phase you?
I was rough. Okay.
Yeah.
But then the other stop, I was like, all right, I need gas in the car, and I would love some food, and I need to go to the bathroom. It was like, where can I go that I can hit all 3 of these stops at once?
Yes, because you're trying to get down there as quick as possible.
I don't want to have to go to 3 different places or even 2 different places. And I stopped at Buc-ee's in Kentucky.
Is that the one we stopped at together on the way back?
It is. It's the exact same one. And I stopped in, and there was, I've heard people complain that all the gas pumps are always full at Buc-ee's.
Really?
But tell you what, there was so many open gas pumps. I pulled right up, and what was great, I'll be honest, I'd never been inside of a Buc-ee's before. I've been to the building, but I've never been inside. And I got off the exit and back on the exit in 15 minutes.
Whoa.
I got gas, went to the bathroom, and it was a great bathroom, by the way.
Yeah?
And then I got a sausage, egg, and cheese on a biscuit and a brisket and egg breakfast burrito. And the whole thing took me 15 minutes from off the highway to back on the highway. It was great.
That is great. Didn't you get a coffee too?
I bought another coffee. And had so it was like everything that I needed in one stop, and I was able to get in and out. It was great.
There are days in life where you are so tired, Pastor Aaron, that the strongest cup of coffee you can drink makes you feel tired. And that, there's levels of tired.
Yeah. Whereas I'm about to fall asleep at the wheel to now I'm just tired.
Now I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where I was at.
That's where you're at?
That's where I was at.
That's a depressed level of tiredness.
The coffee drink that I drank had 200 milligrams of caffeine.
And it just made you feel tired.
That's as much as most high caffeine energy drinks.
So you could have went to bed after that cup of coffee. 200 milligrams of caffeine, you could have went to bed, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
Oh,
as soon as the first opportunity that I had, I took a nap.
When you got to Tennessee?
Yeah.
You went to a hotel and you're like, see ya. Actually, did you go? You got to the hotel, straight to the wedding venue?
Straight to the wedding.
So you were tired at the wedding?
I went from the hotel, I changed in the hotel room, went right back into the car, and drove to the wedding venue.
Back into the car. That's always rough.
And did the wedding.
After a road trip, to get right back in the car, that's always rough.
It was rough.
That's always rough.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But
your wife was down there.
Yes, she was down there.
So there was some, there was some excitement to get down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But so I just wanted to let everybody know what was going on. And shout out to Buc-ee's. Just fantastic.
You know what? You just realized you kind of started this story with a shout out to a certain company. Then it's Buc-ee's is the shout out?
It's shout out to Buc-ee's.
Everybody shouts out Buc-ee's.
I'm just adding my 2 cents in.
I've not met a single person who doesn't love Buc-ee's.
It was great. I stopped at the same Buc-ee's on the way back, but this time I had more time, and so I walked around the store.
Right now, Pastor Aaron, if you were to wear a Buc-ee's sweatshirt, a Buc-ee's t-shirt, it's the symbol of America. Right now.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah. It's the same thing as wearing the American flag.
Yep.
Wearing that Buc-ee's logo.
That's right.
That's a sign of America.
That's right.
I have an interesting podcast for us today, Pastor Aaron.
All right. I like it. So I have no idea what he's going to talk about today.
So here's the interesting thing about the podcast, Pastor Aaron, is I decided to do something different.
Okay.
So typically what happens is that me and you talk about what we want to talk about on the podcast.
That's right.
Then we go our separate ways for a time. We do research, study, get some notes down on the piece of paper. We come back in here with our separate notes. We don't know what we've written.
Right.
And then we start talking and we discover together our personal opinions, what we found.
Yep.
Right, so on and so forth. That's typically the flow of this podcast.
Yep, 100%.
Today is different because I thought of the idea.
Yeah.
But I did not do any research on it. And not only that, you don't even know what the topic is.
I have no idea what the topic is.
So, but what I want to do today is present the thought.
Okay.
And then together on the podcast, unedited, no tricks or anything like that. Just straight talk about this together. Raw, real, unedited, spontaneous.
Yeah.
I think you're really going to like this topic too.
I'm excited for this podcast. It's either going to be a crash and burn podcast or a just reaching to new heights podcast.
I think we're going to get I think we're going to get some new heights.
I love it. Let's go.
So let me present to you what's going on.
All right.
I'm going to start off with my question.
Okay.
Then I'll just read what I wrote. All right.
All right. Let's go for it.
If we wanted to, not together, but individually, if you wanted to, if I wanted to,
Okay.
leave behind a legacy
Okay.
so everyone would know you and be able to hear about you, what would you do? Let me continue reading.
Okay.
There's an idea that exists out there, which is this thought and belief that God doesn't exist because I can't see him. I don't know him.
Yeah.
I've never met him. I don't know this God.
Yeah.
Therefore, he doesn't exist.
Okay.
That's a belief, right?
Yeah.
And it's true that right now I can't see God.
Yeah.
And right now I can't say, oh, there he is.
Right.
Their belief, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So if, though, God wanted to make sure everyone could know him and learn about him, what would he do? What would you think God would do?
Yeah.
So let's just say that. So the question then is presented to you. What would you do? What would I do? Because we're going to die.
Yeah. Yep.
You had unlimited money. You had access to, you had the phone numbers of all the most important people in the world.
Yeah.
There's no limits here, right? There's no I'm not putting any boundaries on this discussion.
I like it.
I'm just saying, practically speaking,
Yeah.
you're 25, 27 years old. I was gonna say that. Sorry, 27 years old. You're gonna live for another 70 years.
All right.
All right, it's a good life.
Yeah.
You've got 70 years to set up a system to make sure every single person knows you and can know about you. What would you do? What would you do? And I can kind of get us going in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah. I'm percolating right now, but
This is practical. This is normal.
Yeah.
This isn't like something weird. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying something weird like, oh, I would write my name in the clouds and the wind would never blow it away.
yeah.
Right?
Right.
That's not real.
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not going to happen. This is totally real. So one of the things that I would do, Pastor Aaron, to make sure my story lives on is I would publish a book.
Yeah. Yep.
Just simple, basic.
Yeah.
All right. But then I've got to think about this because my book would be written in English. So I need to make sure that my book gets translated
Yeah.
into every language of the world.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I got unlimited money to do that.
Yep.
I got a lot of time to figure it out.
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
call publishers. I can make things happen. I can pay whatever it takes. But I would definitely, first and foremost, get a book out there about my story.
Yeah.
Would you do the same thing?
Yeah. You know, I was actually, I was thinking that I would maybe do like a video series. But you just sparked another thought. Is that'd be much harder to translate. You know, it's much harder to translate a video. You ever watched a movie and
Yeah.
it's like I one time tried to watch this series on Netflix.
Okay.
Sounded really awesome, and then I started watching it and I realized it was all dubbed and it was like a Turkish movie.
Okay.
And so it was terrible,
Hard to watch.
super hard. So a book would be much easier to translate
Yes.
to be able to go all over the place.
Still, your video idea is a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think I would not do that. If I have unlimited resources, I still think that.
Maybe this would be better. I'm thinking
Okay.
this like we're thinking this through
Yeah.
live
Right
right
now.
now.
Yeah.
I just had a thought about your video idea
Okay.
because we've got unlimited resources. We got access to all this stuff. We could just make it happen. So what I would do is personally, I just get a hold of Hollywood, and I would just get a hold of some of the best directors, and I would say, make the greatest movie you can about my life.
Yeah.
I'll pay you this much. I'll pay you $500 million. And
Right.
they'd be like, sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would call it the Bollywood, which is an extremely popular movie production over in India.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I'm going to pay you this much money. I
Okay.
want you to make a video about my life, but I want you to do it in your native tongue.
Yeah,
So that
okay.
it's not a weird dub,
Yeah.
but it's like, it speaks to your people. And then I would just do the same thing around the world. I would encourage this culture to make a video
Right.
about me.
Yeah.
Get
That's
it out
good.
there.
Yeah.
And then I would say something like this, can you make it like Spider-Man where the series just keeps,
Yeah. Exactly.
what do they call that?
It just keeps rebooting.
Just make sure you reboot the series
Yeah. That's
every 10 years.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking originally. Is like do those, make sure it's a video series, do the reboots, just kind of get some stuff going, and I think that would it would really help. Writing a book would be even simpler to get out there, but the movie I think would really capture some people. I also think I was thinking about this. Have you ever been to? And I'm sure that you have, especially as pastors, going to different funerals.
Okay.
And especially maybe if someone is maybe they're, much older, and it's kind of just a celebration of their life service. And the people that are there that come up, if that person has lived a great life and they just come up and just get to
Eulogies. Right?
do the eulogies and just share, and even just being out.
Stories.
Maybe there's a luncheon or something after, and you're just talking, and they just can tell that person had such an impact on them. They're like, man, I will never forget the way this person did this or did that.
Yeah.
And I think that I would be very intentional about really pouring into a few really close people around me. My family and some of my close friends and things like that, really be very intentional about making an impact on their life. So that when I'm gone, because a legacy it's going to live on after me. So that when I'm gone, it wasn't just like, oh yeah, this guy was alive and now he's gone and that's it.
It's a good idea to get somebody to continue passing on your stories.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And
That was the right after the movie thing. That's exactly where my mind went. I said, okay, how can I would just have to be really intentional about, man, I want to make sure that these character traits or these stories, these things that did get passed on to people, not just in a book form or a movie form, but very personally to them so they can pass it on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's a really good idea. How about, I had another thought too about this, which was the fact that maybe I could do something where my name is displayed like on every street corner.
Yeah, I actually had that exact same thought. I was like monuments or just like big signs or all over. Yeah,
monuments, statues, signs.
Yeah,
schools and schools named after me.
Yeah,
lots of schools. I'll just say this: every
Hospitals.
school, every hospital, and every school has my name on it somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And they're all just kind of different versions of my name.
Yeah.
Just like people just remember my name. It's just constantly out there.
Yeah.
I'd do that. And then I'd take it even a step further. If I was a total genius. Okay.
Yeah.
I would make buildings on every street corner where at least once or twice a week, people could gather and learn about me.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
You see where Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like that?
Yeah.
And they would be for all different kinds of people. So, some for building, some gatherings would attract old people. Some gatherings would attract children.
Yeah.
Young teenagers, so on and so forth. I would just make sure, and I would be really specific about this. Please, when you put up these buildings where people can come and learn about me, don't be too rigid on how it works, because this type of experience doesn't always work for that type of person.
Right.
So don't go crazy about how this building is, flip the service order around.
Yeah.
Just chill with it, okay?
Yeah.
And relax with it, because we're all on the same mission here, which is to learn about me.
Right. I like it.
You like this?
Yeah, I'm liking it.
And what else could we do? I had another thought and I lost it. It was a really good thought. But what else?
I got another thought.
All right.
One of the greatest ways that our culture gets influenced, and you see this throughout modern history, we'll say. All right, one of the greatest stages to influence people is through music. People remember songs.
Yes.
Songs get played on the radio. Songs get played in headphones. Songs get played at concerts, at sporting events, all over the place.
In the bedroom, in the concert hall. They're everywhere.
So I would get tons I would hire some of the greatest songwriters in the world.
Pay them whatever it took.
To write songs about me.
Yeah.
So that they could get going all over the place, playing everywhere.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
So we've kind of infiltrated all the different systems of the world.
Yeah.
And so just so the audience is clear, I'm sure that we're missing some.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure we are.
Yeah, I'm sure we are.
But why did we just do that, Pastor Aaron? Why did we just go through this process of, if I wanted people to know me and I wasn't around for them to see. But I wanted to make sure, without a doubt, that people know who I am. What would I do? We just went through a few things. It didn't take that long.
Nope.
I don't know how long we've been podcasting for, but it didn't take that long. And it wasn't that hard.
It wasn't that hard, no.
It wasn't that hard. That's exactly what God's done.
Yeah, come on. That's
To
exactly what
make
he did.
sure, what'd you say?
I said that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, to make sure that people know who he is, even though they can't see him.
Yeah.
And they've never met him.
Yeah, come on.
Doesn't that, Pastor, another question for you, Pastor. Does that prove how great and loving God is? Because he has worked so hard to make sure people know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't that prove the love of God?
I think it does.
I think it proves some sort of love of God for us.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that it's more than just our opinion about that, because Paul said in Romans chapter 1 that even the world was without excuse for acknowledging God, because you could see God even through his creation, even through the story of the Israelite people, the Jewish people, and all of that history. He's like, listen, there was opportunity for people to see God. And yet humanity chose to worship the creation rather than the creator, excuse me. And, but Paul makes that same argument that like God didn't leave himself without a witness. Throughout history, God always had a witness. There was always something there. And I think that really shows a ton of the love of God. And so I don't think it's just like our opinion. Paul says that right in Romans 1 too.
Our heart is an idol-making factory.
Come on, that's good right there.
And it can't help but to worship something other than God.
Yeah.
When God has worked so hard and done so well, or good of a job, I guess you could say, has done so well at making sure his message gets to every generation and every person.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I had this thought when you were reading the very first questions, that first few sets of questions. Because I've heard people say this, man, I'm struggling to believe in God because I can't see him. You know, I've heard people say that.
Absolutely.
Actually, just recently, this is going to set up something that I heard that I thought was really great, but I just recently took a survey with some of our youth here, some of our high schoolers here at Cornerstone. And I asked them, hey, what are some of the biggest questions that you feel like people wrestle with in your schools, like about Christianity? Maybe you're inviting people to church, you're trying to witness, and you just feel like, what are some of the biggest questions that people have? And so many of them responded, if God is so real, how can I really believe in him? Or some version of that question. One student phrased it this way that was really well. They said they feel like Christianity is just a set of rules that you're hoping that God exists, but he might not. And he's like, they don't get it that he's so real.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was so interesting. And then I heard this from a preacher one time, and he said, nobody questions that George Washington existed and was the first president of the United States of America. He said, nobody questions that because it's written in our history books. You know, we read it all the time.
There's a painting of him too, right?
Yeah. It's that really famous sculpture of his head too.
Yeah.
You know? And he said, but I never have to work at convincing anybody that George Washington was our first president.
Yeah.
And he said, but there's less information about George Washington than there was about Jesus.
Yeah.
Than there was about, just look around. You can see the fingerprint of God all over this incredible creation.
Yeah.
And he said, but I never have to convince anybody about George Washington. He's like, but for some reason, the human heart just wants to worship something other than God.
And I thought of one more thing too, Pastor Aaron.
Let's do it.
How about just ensuring that some major holidays are about me?
Come on.
You know?
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 a year.
2 or 3 a year.
Yeah.
Just so the
Huge
whole world,
days.
just in case that the music and the books and the monuments and the hospitals and the places of learning and the religious centers weren't enough.
Yeah.
Then I would just go one step further.
Yeah.
And make sure that the holidays are about me.
That's right. I like it.
And the funny thing about this conversation, Pastor Aaron, and we can bring it to a close right now, is that honestly, if somebody really wanted to make sure that they were never forgotten,
Yeah.
then they would do the exact things we just discussed.
Yeah.
Because how else would you make sure people know who you are without ever meeting you?
Right.
And you've been gone for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
How else would you do it?
I can't. There would be no other sure way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could even take it one step further. As the world changes, make sure that the method changes, but the message never does.
Message never changes.
And that's happening too.
Yeah.
The method of delivering the message of Jesus has changed so much over the last 2,000 years.
Oh, yeah.
But the message has stayed the same.
Stayed the same. Which is incredible. I know you said we're coming to a close.
I know. Is this a good time of conversation or what?
It's just making me think about this. It's incredible that over 2,000 years since Jesus was here on this earth, that the message that we preach, the gospel, is the exact same gospel. The same message is that God so loved the world, right? That he sent his son. He lived a perfect life, died on the Roman cross, was buried in the grave, and 3 days later came out, and you can have eternal life and experience the love of God because of that. Right? That message has not changed since the early disciples ran around in the street corner telling people to now you're watching this on YouTube or listening through your iPhone on Apple Podcasts or listening on Spotify while you're driving down the road in your car. I guarantee you the Apostle Paul and John and Peter, they never thought that was possible, but God did. God could see all of that. And so, yes, the method has changed, but the message stays the same. And just that fact alone is crazy. If you're going to try to tell me that God doesn't exist and then look at that track record, that over 2,000 years, the message has stayed the same, that should blow your mind.
It is blowing my mind. And it just we've got to be very careful, Pastor Aaron, we've got to be very careful to think that God hasn't done enough. Mm-hmm. That he needs to do more.
Right.
We've got to be very careful with that mindset.
Yeah.
And even tell ourselves at times, because I have fallen in that trap. Man, I wish God would can't he just write his name in the sky for all to see and just say, hey, everybody, here I am,
right. Yeah.
Can't he just do it, please? No, everybody has the same way of coming to God. Mm-hmm. It's a level playing field.
Come on.
Same opportunities. Some have taken advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah.
And some have rejected those chances. Mm-hmm. So there's a podcast. There's our podcast. Was that good?
Podcast. That's a good one. I like that one.
Did you kind of sense where I was going with it when I asked the question at the beginning, or did you feel like, where's he going with this?
It took me, I needed you to read the entire thing. Uh-huh. But by the time you were done with the entire thing, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that first, no, I was really confused.
I know. I thought it would be a good way to do the podcast today.
That was fun. I liked it.
It's been great to be with you today, audience.
It's been so good.
How'd you describe this one?
This one was, you ever had an appetizer that you thought was going to taste one way, but then it tasted another and you were really glad?
Oh, and you're like, I should have ordered that for my whole meal.
I should have got more of that.
Yeah.
That's what this was like.
Ooh, I like that. That. Applebee's has an appetizer like that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, they do. They got the sampler appetizer, mozzarella cheese sticks, loaded potato skins, chicken wings, and something else like Asian dumplings or something like that.
Okay.
Fire.
All right.
Yeah, so check that out, everybody. This podcast has been like Applebee's. Unexpectedly delicious.
Fancy like, baby.
Fancy like Applebee's. Catch you in the next one,
See you, everybody. Bye.
Youth and Young Adult Podcast. Youth and Young Adult Podcast. Youth and Young Adult Podcast.